You're driving home alone. Midnight. Fog on the road. Headlights slice the dark. Then you see her, standing in the middle of the road. White dress, no shoes, pale, still. You slam the brakes, your heart's thumping. But when you open the door, she's gone. And you realize this is the exact spot where she died, over 50 years ago. They say she appears to drivers. They say she vanishes without a sound. And they say she's still waiting for someone to take her home. This episode is brought to you by the endlessly curious minds of Simon and Rachel, the creators of the Cherrywood podcast, the ones brave enough to ask, what if it's all true? Welcome back to the Cherrywood Conspiracy Files. I'm just a random guy. No credentials, no agenda, just curious. Tonight we drive through the heart of Kent, a road you've probably used, a place you may have passed. But there's something about Bluebell Hill, a stretch of road near the village of Aylesford. Looks normal, feels off. Because for decades, people have claimed to see a woman there. Sometimes by the roadside, sometimes in the car, sometimes she asks for a lift. Sometimes she just appears in your mirror. This isn't just a local ghost story. This one's been reported by police, by news outlets, by dozens of frightened, unrelated people. And it all begins in 1965. It was meant to be the happiest day of her life. Suzanne Brown, 22 years old, was just days away from her wedding. She'd been out with friends, a hen night, laughing, drinking, dreaming. Late that night, she and her friends were driving back in a Ford Cortina on the A229 near Bluebell Hill. They never made it home. A head-on collision with a Jaguar 3.8 tore their car apart. All three women were critically injured. Suzanne survived the initial crash but died 5 days later in hospital. Her wedding dress became her shroud. But what no one expected was that Suzanne might not have stayed gone. Within weeks of her death, reports began to come in. Drivers describing a pale young woman in white, standing at the roadside or suddenly appearing in front of them. She'd vanished before impact, or worse, they think they'd hit her, pull over in horror, and find nothing. One of the first reports came from a man who was convinced he'd knocked her over. He called the police, panicked, described every detail. The thud, the dress, the spot on the road. But there was no body, no trace, no damage to his car. He was treated for shock and sent home. The stories didn't stop. A man picked up a female hitchhiker near Bluebell Hill. She looked disoriented, said she needed a ride to Maidstone. He agreed and drove her there in silence. When he pulled up and turned to speak, she was gone. No sound, no movement, no exit. Just an empty seat and an icy silence. The address she gave, an older woman answered the door and said, "You're not the first." She knew about the girl. Said she died years ago. Said she never really left. And from there, the pattern grew. Some drivers would see her on the verge, looking confused. Some said she walked into the road. Others said she was in the car already, sitting in the back seat, silent until the driver looked in the mirror. Then gone. Several reports mentioned the same eerie sensation. Time slowing down. Radio static. An unnatural silence. In 1971, a man claimed he stopped for her and gave her a lift. He gave a name, Suzanne. He let her out near a petrol station, watched her walk toward a phone box, but she didn't open the door. She didn't use the phone. She just disappeared into the night. There's even a chilling story from a couple who said they hit her. They felt the impact. They heard the scream. They pulled over. Nothing. They searched the road. They called for help. Again, no blood, no body, no trace. These people weren't ghost hunters. They were commuters, teachers, builders. No interest in fame or fiction, just the same haunted look when they told their story. In 1992, a paranormal group took thermal and electromagnetic readings near the site. They found small fluctuations, pockets of cold air. One of them took a photo just as a white, mist-like shape crossed the road. It looked like a figure, possibly a face. It wasn't there when they took the shot. Skeptics blamed lens flare. Believers said it was her. Another man driving from Chatham to Maidstone at 1:40 a.m. reported a woman walking in front of his car. He braked. She didn't move. She turned, looked right at him, and vanished. He described her as barefoot, white dress, long blonde hair, and the kind of stare that burns your memory from the inside out. By the 1990s, the sightings became less frequent, but no less terrifying. One taxi driver said he picked her up near a pub. She asked to go to Aylesford. He agreed. Halfway there, he heard crying. Looked back. Nobody there. When he got home, he checked the dashcam footage. The timestamp showed the door open and no one getting in. Nothing but the sound of breath. Not his.
And then came the boy. In 2003, a schoolboy walking home from an evening youth club in Walderslade took a shortcut through a wooded footpath not far from Bluebell Hill. He returned home shaken, barely able to speak. His parents thought he was making it up until he described a woman in white, barefoot, crying silently. When they asked what she said, he replied, "Nothing," but her mouth was open like she was screaming. He never took that path again. There was no press coverage, no police report, but neighbors started talking. They'd heard things too. One woman said she kept waking at 2:29 a.m., hearing knocking at her door. When she opened it, no one was there. Another said her dog barked at the hallway every night for weeks, tail between its legs, until she moved out. It wasn't just the road anymore. It was spreading. And in 2014, CCTV from a traffic camera near the Bluebell Hill Junction purportedly picked up a blip, a brief white flash, human-shaped, crossing from one side of the dual carriageway to the other. The footage was never released. An anonymous council worker later claimed the recording had been archived and flagged as corrupted, but internal notes referred to visual interference consistent with known folklore. Someone believed the stories, or someone wanted them forgotten. And then, silence. For almost 5 years, no new reports. Until 2019. 2 women driving from Maidstone to Chatham around midnight claimed to have picked up a distressed young woman in the rain. She was shaking, said nothing, just pointed. They drove half a mile. Then the passenger in the back seat nudged her friend and said, "She's gone." She'd vanished while the car was moving. The only thing left behind? A wet handprint on the inside of the rear window. They never spoke publicly, but a friend leaked the story online. The thread went viral and was quickly removed from most forums. But the screenshot remains. So does the chill. So what is happening on Bluebell Hill? Why do the stories match across decades? Is this a ghost? A residual haunting? A warning? Or something else entirely? Let's talk theories. Theory 1, residual energy. This is the most common paranormal explanation, that a moment of extreme trauma, like a sudden death, can create an echo, replaying itself over and over. In this case, Suzanne Brown's death. But echoes don't usually interact, and yet this ghost seems to. She speaks, gives directions, makes eye contact. She vanishes in real time. That's not a tape on repeat. That's presence. Theory 2, the phantom hitchhiker phenomenon. Versions of the story exist all over the world. A girl in white, a fatal crash, a final ride home. Some say it's a shared cultural myth, our brain's way of processing grief, guilt, or fear while driving at night. But that doesn't explain the handprint, the identical descriptions, the matching name, Suzanne, given decades apart. Theory 3, a time slip. Some paranormal researchers suggest Bluebell Hill might sit on a thin spot in time where certain people momentarily cross into another moment. Could it be that drivers are seeing Suzanne not as a ghost, but as she was moments before her death, trapped in a loop of panic, confusion, and pain? If so, why only certain people? Why only that road? And why does she seem to vanish deliberately? Theory 4, mass hallucination or suggestion. Once a story becomes legend, people expect to see it, and the mind fills in the blanks. But hallucinations don't leave physical evidence or match across unrelated witnesses. They don't ask for lifts, and they don't look directly at you. Theory 5, something darker. What if this isn't Suzanne at all? What if this thing is using her story, her face, as a mask? An entity, a trickster, a parasite feeding off attention, fear, and grief. If that's true, it raises a new question. What happened on that hill before 1965? Because there are whispers, old ones, of strange sightings in those woods before the crash ever occurred. Stories the Anabaptists wouldn't record, places the Celts avoided, burial mounds flattened by the road. One local legend even mentions a woman in white who drowned in a chalk pit nearby in the 1800s. No name, just this. She walks the ridge, forever unwed. So we ask, was Suzanne's crash a tragic accident? Or was it part of something older? Is Bluebell Hill haunted? Or is it hungry? Let's close with some questions. Have you ever driven that road? Have you ever seen something strange and written it off? If you saw a woman by the roadside, would you stop? And if she got in, would she ever really leave? Thanks for listening to the Cherrywood Conspiracy Files. If you like this episode, subscribe, share, and drop us a comment. Unless you're driving through Bluebell Hill right now, in which case, keep your eyes on the road and check your backseat. I'm just a random guy. No credentials, no agenda, just curious. And this was the Bluebell Hill Ghost. We'll see you next time. Unless she sees you first.
Club Awesome, for autistic children and their families, a place where everyone belongs and fun knows no age limit.
Today's sponsors are Dimodici Associates, Chartered Structural and Civil Engineers.
Based in the UK with a worldwide reach.
Visit their website on dimodiciassociates.com.
Right at Home Medway, providers of safe and trusted quality care for adults in the comfort of their own home. Whether you need companionship, medication assistance, personal care, living care or more, we've got you covered. Visit rightathome.co.uk/medway or call them on 01634 979 000. Are you looking for a cleaning or facilities management? Clearwater Kent is your trusted local expert. From roofs and driveway cleaning to fully facilitated management, they're a fully licensed, award-winning business that you can count on. Visit clearwaterkent.co.uk or call 01634 681 885.
Need stunning video or photography for your big day or even your business? Cherrywood Production delivers award-winning results with a personal touch. From weddings to promotional content, we turn your vision into reality. Visit cherrywoodpro.com today. Your memories, our passion. Put your business in front of 30,000 new customers with the Hindsight Directory. This A5 full-colour magazine is delivered by Royal Mail to Maidstone, Gravesend, Medway and Bromley, with more areas to come. Visit hindsightdirectory.co.uk.
New Digital, helping businesses build their online presence with web design, SEO, Google Ads and social media. Get 10% off when you quote Cherrywood today. Visit their website at nudigitalera.co.uk.